So now in this session, let's discuss about the remaining classes and queries and all. So for that, first let me create one table in sample database. I'm creating one table, create table, table name I'm giving it as employee, with the structure ID, integer, name, varchar of 20, 30, whatever it may be, department, varchar of 20, comma, designation, varchar of 20. So now I'm creating a table with the name employee with the structure ID, name, department, designation, and let me give it as salary, money data type, comma, bonus. Again, money data type. Okay. Now let's execute this query and let me insert the data into the table. Now let's insert the data into import table. So insert into employee values ID1, name of an employee VijayReddy, and designation of an employee, department ID, designation project lead, salary I'm giving it as 1 lakh, comma, bonus I'm giving the bonus as 20,000. Now let me copy this one and let me insert couple of records like this. I'm inserting 5 records in total. 2, 3, 4 and 5. Sharath, Sandeep, Madhu, Srikanth. And out of 5 employees, 2 employees are working in finance domain, finance company, otherwise finance department, working as CFO and FO. So this guy is working as module lead and this guy is working as team lead. And this guy is getting 90,000 salary, and this guy is getting 80,000, and this guy is getting again 90,000, and this guy 80,000. So to him I'm giving the bonus as 18,000 and 16,000, 18 and 16, something, whatever. So I'm inserting 5 records into employee table. So now let's see the table. So let's start from employee. So when I execute this one is giving the data. So whatever the records I've inserted in the table, it is showing all the records. Now let's see how to alias the table. So what is mean by aliasing? So alias is nothing but giving one another name. It's kind of a nickname. So within the execution is nothing but, let's say if I select this one and if I click on this execute, so that is nothing but execution. Within the execution, I want to give one another name to the table. So why we need to give that name? So because let's say we have a table name called ix underscore tbl underscore db2 underscore 001 underscore sales underscore abc, otherwise sales underscore employee. So that is the table. In real time, you'll find the table names like that. So you won't find the table names like employee, accounts, department. In real time, you'll find the table names like tbl underscore ix underscore sales underscore 001 underscore db2 underscore some employee. Something very lengthy table names you'll find in real time. So it's pretty hard to write the complete name, right? Suppose, okay, I'll write the table name for one time within the execution, but within the same execution, I need to use the table I need to use the table 10 times. Instead of writing that lengthy table name, instead of writing that one, what we can do is within that execution, we can just give one another name to the table. We'll call that one as aliasing. So to alias the table, so this aliasing, when we're discussing about adjoints, you'll get a clear picture about this aliasing, why we need to alias the table. Within the existing, why we need to give some another name, you'll get a clear picture. As of now, just see how to alias the table. Select star from employee. I'm aliasing this one as E. Within that execution, I alias the table name as E. You can alias the table name like this, else as E, anything. So in the same way, how I'm aliasing the table name, in the same way I want to alias the column. Otherwise here, along with the statement, let me write one another statement. Get the employee list from employee table, where whose department is IT. Get the employee list whose department is IT. So where E from employee table department is equal to IT. So now let's execute and see. See, it is retrieved only one record. Sorry, only the records which are the employees details who are working in IT department. So that is nothing but aliasing. So this is aliasing. So within that execution, I'm naming the table as E. So you can, if you specify it as E, that is nothing but employee. No need to write that lengthy name again and again. Within that execution, I'm saying. After that execution, if you try to write the statement, it won't work. So in the same way, how I'm aliasing the table name, in the same way I want to alias the column. See, I have a table. So employee table we have, right? So in that ID, name, department, designation, salary, and bonus are the columns. In my result set, select ID, comma, name, comma, department, designation, salary, comma, bonus as, sorry, bonus from employee. So here in my result, if I execute this one is given the column names ID, name, department, designation, salary, and bonus. But I don't want to show the column name ID as ID. I want to show it as EMP underscore ID. And the name as EMP underscore name. In that case, so ID as EMP underscore ID. Name as EMP underscore name. That's it. Now if I execute this one, in your result set, you can get the names as EMP underscore ID and EMP underscore name. So just we are giving some another name to the columns for that execution. So the column names, I'm not renaming the column names. I'm not touching the structure of the table. I'm just giving one alias name to the columns for that particular execution. That's it. So that is nothing but columns. Sorry, aliasing the column. Now let's see the next one, how to create calculated fields. So what does it mean by calculated fields? Calculated fields, otherwise we can also call it as calculated columns. So columns, you can find it in tables. Then what does it mean by this calculated columns? So calculated columns, otherwise calculated fields, which are not at all part of your table. Calculated fields are not part of your table. So now let's see how to create a calculated column. So calculated columns which are not part of table. So we'll create these calculated fields or calculated columns using existing columns or using some hard-coded values or the combination of hard-coded and existing. So here select ID, comma, name, department, designation, salary, comma, bonus from employee. So this is the data which I have with me right now. Now my client asked me to get the table, get the data along with that, along with their net salary. So where the net salary is the combination of salary plus bonus. If I add salary plus bonus, you'll get the net salary. So in that case, we'll create one calculated field like this: net salary plus bonus. Now I'm aliasing this. Otherwise, if you don't alias this column name, let me exit this one. It's not net salary, it's salary. Salary plus bonus. Now if I exit this one, see, now I summed this salary plus bonus and I created it as a new column. This column is not at all part of your table. Just for my result, in my result set, I'm just creating one new column. Now here it is showing it as no column name. There is no column name. Let me give one column name. I'm giving the column name as net salary. Now let's exit and see now. So this is how we can create the calculated columns using existing columns. Also, you can create the calculated columns using some hard-coded values. Let me show you that. Let me give it as VijayReddy as my name. I'm creating a new column with the name my name, and in that column I'm gonna store the value as VijayReddy. With a combination of hard-coded and existing values, we can also create that calculated columns. Salary plus 1 as new salary. So I'm creating another column, another calculated column with the combination of hard-coded value and existing value. You can check it: 1,195,000, 180,000, 190,000. This is nothing but calculated columns. So clear? Calculated columns. Now let's see the next one: how to take the backup of a table. Taking backup of a table. So first of all, why we need to take the backup? Why we need to take the backup of the table? Let's say, for example, this is your table. This is my table where I'm going to store the complete sales information. So my client has given a clear requirement saying that you have to generate the reports with the previous day sales data. Only with previous day sales, not with the historical data. So every day morning 7 a.m. I'll get the data. I'll get the previous day's sales data. I load the data into this table. Every day morning 7 a.m. I load previous day's sales data into this table. And if I query this table, what data I'll get? Whatever the data I'll store in this table, I'll get the complete data, right? But my client requirement is whenever you are trying to generate whenever you are generating the report, you have to generate the report with the most recent data, that is last day's sales information. Just that's it. Before, I don't need it. So what you need to do? So this is the first time. This is the fresh table. So I loaded yesterday's sales into this table. So if I query the table, then I'll get only the last day's sales. So today, whatever the reports I've generated, everything is perfect. And in tomorrow, again, today's sales I'll get tomorrow morning 7 a.m. I'll load it into this table. After that, when I query the table, when I try to generate the report was generated with 2 days sales. Yesterday's sales and day before yesterday's sales. But according to my client requirement, I have to generate the report with only yesterday's sales data. So what you have to do here? You can do one thing. Before loading yesterday's data into this table, first I load whatever the data that is available in this table. After that, I load the data. So every time I'll have only yesterday's sales only, right? If I do like that, At any point of time, if I ask you to generate a report for June 1st data, using June 1st data, if I ask you to generate the report, already you have deleted the data. You have only 1 day data, that is last day sales data. That's it. So how can you generate the report of July for June 1st? It's not possible, right? So in that case, what you can do is, we'll create one backup table. And into this backup table, every day morning 7 a.m. before loading the data into this table, first I'll move the complete data from this table to this historical table. After that we'll load the recent data. After that we'll load yesterday's data into this table. And again, next day, what we'll do, before loading the data into this table, again we'll move the data from this table to this table. So we are maintaining the history in this backup table, and current data we are maintaining in this table. So that is how we can meet the requirement. So for that, what we need to have, we need to take the backup. To back up the data with the structure of the table, with the same structure of the table, we need another table. We need one backup table to back up the data. Then we can back up the data into this backup table, right? Now let's see how to take the backup into backup table. Select star from employee. So this table's data I want to back up into another table. So to back up the table, the first way is, first we need to have one backup table, right? So as I explained, first we need to have one backup table. So let me create the backup table with the structure of employee table. I'm creating one table, employee_1, with the same structure of employee table, that is ID, name, department, designation, salary, and bonus. Now let's see employee1 table, employee_1. Now let's execute and see. So your backup table is ready, and your main table is also ready, employee table and employee_1. Now let's see how to take the backup of the data when you have backup table. Observe carefully, we'll see how to take the backup of the data when we have backup table. So already I have backup table employee_1. Now to take the backup, then we will see the syntax now. Insert into employee1. We are seeing the syntax, right? Backup table. To which table you want to back up the data? Select star from source table. From which table you want to get the backup? So let's see an example. Insert into employee. So employee_1. This is my backup table. Select star from employee. Now let's exit and see. 5 rows were affected. Now if you check here employee_1 table, the complete data will be backed up into your backup table. So this is the first way of taking the backup. Now there is another way, second way to take the backup. So what is the second way? So in first way we have backup table, so we have directly taken the backup into backup table. But if you don't have the backup table, if you don't have this backup table, I don't have this one, but I need to take the backup into another backup table. In that case, so the first way, when we have backup table, this is the syntax to take the backup. When you don't have the backup table, then select star into backup table from main table. So with the structure of main table, it will create backup table first. After that, it will insert the data into this backup table. Select star into backup table from main table. Let's see example. Select star into employee underscore backup from employee. Now let's exit and see. 5 rows were affected. Now let me query the table. Select star from employee underscore backup. Now let's exit and see. See, it has created one table with the name employee underscore backup, and it has inserted the data into the table. So these are the two ways to take the backup of a table data. So is it clear? Okay, now let's see the next one, that is identity property. So what is meant by this identity property? Identity property, which will be used to enforce uniqueness of rows by giving the incremental values that are predefined. No manual insertion is needed. Identity property automatically increment the values. No need to insert the values manually into identity column. So whenever you want to increment the values automatically, it's not possible with alphabets, right? So it is possible with numerics. So always this identity property will apply it on integer columns, numerical columns. So let's see the syntax of identity. Identity of seed comma increment. So identity indicates that the new column is an identity column. So when a new row is added to the table, SQL Server provides a unique incremental value for that column, incremental value for that particular column, and only one identity column can be created per a table, not multiple. And what does it mean by seed? So seed is the value for the very first row loaded into the table. Increment is the increment value added to the identity value of the previous row loaded. That is increment. For example, if I give it as identity of 1 comma 1. So whenever I insert the record for the first time into the table, it will take the seed. So what is the seed here? 1. And when I insert the next record, it will look for the previously inserted record into the table. What is the previous inserted record? That is 1. To that value, it will add this increment. That is 1 plus 1, 2. And next record, it will look for the previously inserted record. What is the previous inserted record? That is 2 plus 1, 3, plus 1, 4, plus 1, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like that, it will provide uniqueness to the columns, uniqueness to the data. If suppose if I give it as identity of 10 comma 1, then for the first value, it will take it as 10. After that, 11, 12, 13, like that. Suppose if I give it as 10 comma 10, then for the very first time it will take the value as 10, and next record 10 plus 10, 20, next record 20 plus 10, 30, next record 30 plus 10, 40, 40 plus 10, 50, like this. It will increment the values automatically. No need to insert the values manually into identity column. So manual insertion is not needed. Now let's see how to create a table with identity column and how it works. Create table. I'm creating a table with the name customers. Customers. Customer ID integer. Here I'm applying this identity property. Identity of 1 comma 1 comma name varchar of 20, city varchar of 10. Now let's create it. Commands completed successfully. If you go and check the table, let me expand the sample DB. Sorry, let's refresh the table. See, customers. I created this customer table with 3 columns: customer ID, name, and city. Now let me insert the records into the table. Insert into customers, values, ID 1, and name I will give it as VijayReddy, and city as Hyderabad. Now if I execute this one, see, it is throwing one error message saying that an explicit value for the identity column in table customers can only have specified. You can't insert the values manually into identity column. You can't insert values manually into identity column. Identity column is the one which auto increments the values, which is used to provide uniqueness to the column. So how can I insert the record without, just let me remove that ID. Now let me try to insert this one. This one will accept. Now if you check the table, select star from customers. If I exit this one, see, one VijayReddy Hyderabad. So like this, let me insert one another record. So let me copy the syntax. Copy. I'm giving the name as Sharat, who is living in Hyderabad. Now if I execute this one, so which ID it will take now? So previously inserted ID 1 plus your increment value 1 plus 1 2. Sorry, I need to exit this one. See, 1 plus 1 2. If I insert one another record, this time I'll insert, I'm giving it as Madhu, who is living in Bangalore. Now let's execute and see now. Now it will take the next ID, that is 2 plus 1 3. Let me insert one another record into the table. This time I'm giving the name as Srikanth, who is living in Bangalore. Now if I exit this one, so it will take the next ID, that is 3 plus 1 4. And let me insert one another record, Shravan, who is living in Chennai. So now it will take the next ID, that is 4 plus 1 5. You can check. So like this, or it will identity column, identity property, it will increment the values automatically. Sometimes your client may ask you to give a special ID to that particular employee. I mean, mandatorily this guy should have employee ID 10. So in that case, as of now in my table I have only 5 records, and that identity property won't allow me to insert the values manually, but my client is asking me to give the ID as 10. So for that I have to insert 4 dummy records. After that I need to insert the 10th one. That is the first case. Otherwise we can insert the data manually into identity column. There is an option to insert the values manually into identity column. So whenever you want to insert the data manually into identity column, first we need to set one property, that is we need to on that identity insertion to on. So to set the property, set identity underscore insert on which table you want to, on which table you want to on this identity property. On customers table I want to on this identity property. First you have to execute this one. You have to set this property. Now we can insert the values manually into identity column. Let's see that. Insert into customers values 10 comma name, I'm giving it as Sharat, and he is living in Bangalore. And whenever you're trying to insert manually into identity table, mandatorily you have to specify the column names, even though you are passing all the values for all the columns in proper sequence. Then also you have to specify the columns. That is mandatory. Customer ID, name, city. If you don't specify these column names, it won't allow you to insert the values into identity table. See, now it has accepted. Now let's check the table. 10. Now let me insert another record into the table. This time I'm giving it as 11. Let's execute it. Now let's check the table. Select start from customers. So according to my client requirement, I've inserted two IDs manually into customers table. Now again I need to off this manual insertion. So for that, just set identity underscore insert customers off. Now if I execute this statement, and now if I try to insert the record manually into identity column, let me give the ID as 12. It won't accept, because now I disable that option to insert the values manually into identity column. Now again it will accept the values, so it will increment the values automatically. Now let me know if I try to insert the record, which ID it will take now. So which is the last inserted record? Last inserted record is 11, right? I think that is 11. Last inserted record 11. Now if I try to insert this record, which ID it will take? Identity property, it will look for the last inserted record, and to that last inserted record it will increment the value. So the last inserted record is 11. So 11 plus 1, 12. So that is identity. That is identity property. It will increment the values automatically. Okay. So this is about identity property here. Now let's see how to delete the data from the table. To delete data from table. So we have seen how to insert the data and how to extract the data, and based on some conditions using some classes, how to retrieve the data, how to create the table with identity column, and how to update the existing data. Now we'll see how to delete the data from the table. So to delete the data from the table, you have two ways. One is using delete, we can delete the data, and using truncate, we can delete the data. So these are the two ways to delete the data from the table. So there is a difference between these delete and truncate. We'll see that one. First, let's start with delete. So first, to delete the data from the table, let's see the syntax here. Delete from table. So this is the syntax to delete the data from the table. Let me show you the table here. Select star from employee. Now if I exit this one, see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 records are there in my delete table, sorry, employee table. Now if I execute this delete from employee, it will delete the complete data from the table. My intention is I don't want to delete the complete data. I just delete the employee details who are working in finance department. So what I'm asking you to delete the data based on some condition. So whenever you want to perform some activities based on any condition, you'll go with where class, where condition. Okay. Let's see that one. Select start from customers. Let's execute and see. See, this is the data which I have with me. Now my intention is I want to delete the customer whose ID is 12. So delete from customers where CID is equal to 12. Now if I execute this one will delete only the customer details where the customer ID is 12. Now if I try to insert the record into the table, insert into customers, values, name of the customer is Sridhar. He is living in Chennai. Now which ID it will take now? Already in my table I have 12 records. And from the 12 records, just now I've deleted 12th ID customer details. Now again I'm trying to insert a new customer details into the table, which ID it will take. So customer table is an identity table. Customer ID is identity column. So identity property, always it will look for the last inserted record. Which is the last inserted record? 12. So 12 plus 1, 13. Even though you deleted the record, that information will be available in your log file, right? So it will go and check for the log file, which is the last inserted record. 12 is the last inserted record. So to that last inserted record, it is incrementing the value. That is 12 plus 1, 13. So this is how you can delete the data based on condition. And now if I ask you to delete the complete data from the table, delete from table customers. Now if I exit this one, see 8 was for effect, and now if I exit this one, nothing is there. Now if I insert a record, what happens? I'm inserting all these records again. 10, 11 manually. Otherwise I'll insert only these 5 records. Which ID it will take? So the last inserted record is 13. So it will start with 13 plus 1, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So this is delete. So using delete, we can delete the data based on condition. And we can delete the complete data from the table. And this delete won't reseed your identity property. And now let's see how to delete the data using truncate. So truncate is also used to delete the data from the table. What is it? So the difference between this delete and truncate is, using delete, we can delete the data based on condition, which means where class can be used in delete. But using truncate, we cannot delete the data based on condition, which means where class we cannot use in truncate. Either you can delete the complete data or leave the complete data. Don't delete a single record. That is the first difference. So now let's see how to delete. Truncate table. What is the table name? Customers. Now if I exit this one, so commands completed successfully. Let's check the table. Select star from customers. See, it has deleted the complete data from the table. Now let me insert few records into the table. Now if you check the table, select star from customers, it has reseeded the identity property. This is the second difference between delete and truncate. So delete and truncate both are used to delete the data from the table. Then what is the difference between delete and truncate? So delete is a DML command, where truncate is a DDL command. We can use where class in delete to delete the records based on some condition. We cannot use where class in truncate. So whenever you delete the data using delete, it will maintain the logs so that we can recover the data at any point of time. But if you delete the data using truncate, it won't maintain the logs. So you cannot recover the data which you deleted using truncate. Simply to say, delete is nothing but delete button in your keyboard. Truncate is nothing but shift delete. So whenever you delete the data using delete, it is maintaining the logs. So that's why delete is very poor in performance. Where truncate is good in performance. Why? Because it is not maintaining any logs. And delete delete won't receive the identity property, whereas truncate receives the identity property. So that is the difference between delete and truncate. So is it clear?
Okay, sir.
So now let's see the next one, that is schema. So what is mean by schema? So this schema was introduced in SQL Server 2005. So which offers a convenient way to separate database users from database object owners. Simply to say, let's say for example, uh, this is your database. So in real time, you will find some thousands of tables in one single database. So not like our training databases. In our database, what we'll do, we'll create few tables like 5 or 10 tables, and we'll train on this. Sorry, we'll just practice on those 10 tables. But if you go to the real time, in real time, in one database, you'll find some thousand tables. One database may have 1,000 tables. One database may have 800 tables or 140 tables or 80 tables. At least minimum 80 tables. At least more than 50 tables you'll find in real time. Any database, even that is a small database also, you'll find at least 50 tables in a database. And you never get a chance to work on all the tables. You'll get a chance to work on only a couple of tables. So if you are working on all the tables, then what about the remaining guys? So we have to share the work, right? So even that is not possible to a single user to work on all the tables. So let's say this is my database. Let's say I'm working for bank. I'm working on a bank project. So where this bank project is having different modules like insurance module and loan module. So here the bank database is having total 1,000 tables, and out of these 1,000 tables, insurance is one module, loan is one module, finance is one module, credit cards is one module, sales is one module. So these are the 5 modules that are in this bank database. Now each module is having 200 tables. So in insurance related you have 200 tables, and loan related table you have 200 tables, and finance related 200, and credit card related 200, and the same way sales related 200 tables you have. Now my job is to work on loan module. My job is to work on loan module. Then first I need permission on this bank database to work, right? If suppose my database administrator given the permission on this bank database, then when I expand this bank database, then I can see whatever the tables that are available in my database. Along with the loan related tables, I can see this insurance related, finance, credit, sales, all tables I can see here. What I'll do with that unrequired data, those tables are not necessary for me. I need only loan tables to clear my requirements. I don't need that insurance tables or finance tables or credit or sales. So instead of granting the permission on complete database, what your DBA will do is, what your DBA has to do is, he has to grant the permission on only that 100 tables to where you want to work. So if I grant permission, if your DBA grant the permission on only these 200 tables, whenever you expand these tables, you can find only the 200 tables which belongs to loan module. So for that, what he has to do, he has to go to each and every table in the loan module, and he has to grant the permission. And you are not the only one guy working in loan module, right? Along with you, few guys will work. So for that remaining guys also, he has to do the same job. So okay, if that is one-time job, that is okay. But that is not one-time job, right? After granting this year, after 1 year, you are working on loan module. However, DB, by going to each and every table, he has given the permission on all those 200 tables. So you're working on that loan module. So after 1 year, you have moved to some insurance module. So what DB has to do again? Again, he has to grant permission to you on those 200 tables which belongs to insurance module. And he has to revoke the permissions from that loan tables, from that 200 tables. So that is unnecessary headache for that administrator, right? Instead of that, what he'll do is he'll move all these objects into one single bucket, and he'll name this bucket as insurance. And he'll move all these 200 tables which belongs to loan into one bucket, and he'll name one. He'll give a name to that bucket as loan, and 200 tables into one bucket, and credit sales into one bucket, credit into one bucket, and sales into one bucket. And after that, instead of going to these 200 tables, directly he'll come and grant the permission on this particular bucket. Then I can access whatever the objects that are available in that bucket, right? So which is very easy. Let's say, for example, in a room, I've stored 1 lakh balls of different colors. In one room, I have stored 1 lakh balls of different colors, like red color, blue color, black, red color, black, red, yellow, silver, black, 4 colors. Now I ask you to get black color balls. Then what you have to do? You have to look for the black color balls from that 1 lakh balls. Instead of that, in that room, instead of storing all the balls in one room, in that room I've stored buckets. In one bucket I've stored, in red color bucket I've stored red color balls, in black color bucket I've stored black color balls, in blue color bucket I've stored blue color balls, in yellow color bucket yellow color balls. Now I ask you to get black color balls. Then directly you'll go and get the black color bucket, right? So that black color bucket will contain only black color balls. So which is good. Searching for the balls from all color balls is good. Otherwise, just getting the data, getting the balls from a bucket is good. The second one is good, right? So here also, instead of storing these objects as an individual one, what he is doing is he is storing all related objects into one bucket or one place, and he is naming that place with one name. That is nothing but schema. So instead of granting the permission by going to each and every table, he is coming to the schema and is granting the permission on schema directly. Now whatever the object that I've added in that particular schema, then I can only access that particular objects. So schema is just like a bucket which holds all related stuff into one place. Okay? So schema is nothing but a bucket which holds all related stuff into one place. And till now I created so many tables, but I never mentioned any schema. Then what about the where these tables will go and fall? So whenever you create any object without specifying the schema, the tables, that objects will go and fall under default schema, that is DB, database objects. If you go and check the table name, see here, customers. I just created a table with the name customers, but this customer table is stored in one default schema, that is DB. Employee table in DBO, employee school 1 in DBO. So this DBO is default schema. So whenever you create any object without specifying the schema, those objects will fall under default schema DBO, that is database object. So if you want to create a schema with customized, so if you want to create any objects with a customized schema, then first we have to create it. So here we have different modules. So we need to create different schemas, and whenever we are creating the objects, we need to create that objects along with the schema. So let me show you that one, how to create the schema. So to create the schema, let's see the syntax. Create schema, schema name. That is the syntax. So let's see the example. Create schema. I'm creating the schema sales. Commands completed successfully. Now let me creating a table with customized schema. Now I'm going to create a table with sales schema. So syntax will remain same. Create table name, let me give it as some accounts, account ID, integer, account name, that. That's it. I'm going with only 2 columns. If I create the table, if I execute this statement, this accounts table will go and fall under default schema. Why? Because I'm not specifying any schema. If you want to create any object with the customized schema, then you have to give the object name along with the schema, sales.accounts. Now let's create it. Commands complete successfully. Now let's see the tables. Let me refresh it. See, now this table accounts will fall under sales schema. Now if I grant the permission on this sales schema, then you can see only accounts table. You can't see that objects which are of DBO schemas. Sorry, which are of different schemas. You can see only the schema which you have access. Only the objects which fall under that particular schema. Now, how to insert the data? So to insert the data, to update the data, everywhere the syntaxes will remain same. But only the thing is, whenever you want to work with the objects which fall under customized schema, to call that objects, you have to call it along with the schema name. For example, select star from accounts. Accounts. If I execute this one, it will throw error saying that invalid object name. Why? Because this accounts table is not belongs to default schema. If suppose that object belongs to default schema, it won't throw any error. But whenever you are trying to call the objects which are of different, which are of customized schema, you have to call the table with schema name. And while inserting also, you have to do the same thing, and updating or deleting. Anyway, in all the places you have to follow the same syntax. So whenever you are calling any object which are of customized schema, you have to call that objects along with the schema name. Okay. Now I've created one sales schema. Now by mistakenly I've created this employee table with default schema. I forgot to mention the schema name. So that table is fall under default schema, right? If you create any object without specifying the schema, those objects will fall under default schema DBO. Now my intention is I want to transfer this employee table schema, whether it may be DBO or some XYZ. I want to transfer this employee table schema to sales schema. Let's see how to transfer it. To transfer the schema, alter schema. I want to transfer it to sales schema. Transfer which object schema you want to transfer. I want to transfer employee table schema to sales schema. Now let's refresh the tables. Now you can find, see, now this employee table will fall under sales schema. Now if you try to call that employee table, select star from employee, it won't work. Why? Because this employee tables schema is not default schema. This table, this object belongs to some customized schema. So we have to call it along with the schema name, sales.employee. So this is how we can transfer the schemas from one schema to another schema. So we have seen how to create the schema and how to create the objects with customized schema and how to transfer one object schema into another schema. Now we'll see how to drop the schema. To drop the schema, drop schema name. Example. Drop schema. What is the name of the schema? Sales. Now if I try to drop the schema, it will throw error. Why? Because this sales schema, this schema is being referenced by few objects. So whenever you want to drop the schema, first we need to make sure that no object is dependent on the schema. But as of now, these accounts and employee tables are dependent on the sales schema, right? So to drop the schema, drop the sales schema, either transfer that accounts employee schema from sales to some other schema, otherwise drop the tables which are in that particular schema. So here I'll drop it. Drop table sales.accounts. So accounts, adopt it. So now let me refresh the table. Still one table is existing, right? That is employee table. Let me delete employee also. Commands completed successfully. Let me refresh it. Now there is no object in that sales schema. Now the server will allow me to drop the schemas. So this is how we can drop the schema. So this is about schemas. So is it clear?